A lot of people are scared about the finances. Whatever it is, you don't like your job, you want to change. People are always focusing on the financial side of things. I'm looking at it as how are we going to be able to achieve what we want to achieve? Think about the time that you would get back and how you can really focus on your business.
Welcome, everyone, to the Road Less Traveled Show. This is a show about people that were successful in a previous career and left that career to go down a different path. I'm your co-host, Richard Coyne.
And I'm your co-host, Bill Zahller.
On today's show, we're so pleased to have Charlie Hardage with us. Charlie, welcome.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again, Charlie, for being on the Road Less Traveled Show. To start with, can you tell the listeners a little about your background, like what career you got started in?
Yeah, I have been in IT sales for most of my adult life. There's about 5 years where I was in the military, kind of sprinkled in there. But I've been in IT sales from selling computers and printers to SaaS products up until about 9 months ago when I left the corporate world.
Okay, excellent. And how long were you in the corporate world, did you say?
About 12 years, I think.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. And then what have you transitioned to now?
I am doing multifamily syndication. I have been just obsessed and passionate about any type of real estate for far too long. Was introduced to multifamily syndication probably 9 or 10 years ago, and really only made the jump about 3 years ago, where I was, diving in, trying to understand everything I could about it, which there's a lot. But in April of this year, I really took a big leap of faith and went all in.
Excellent. And what target areas do you focus on?
I live in Nashville. I'm primarily focused on Middle Tennessee. Love the area, love the economy. Tons of businesses are moving here. That being said, I'm also underwriting probably within about a 3-hour drive. So Louisville, Atlanta, Birmingham, Huntsville, Knoxville.
Yeah. All good areas. We're a fan of Nashville as well. Yeah, like that area, and see all the growth that's happening there.
Yep.
So on the syndication side, you said you're kind of introduced to it maybe 9 years ago. Did you start off in syndications, or did you do some other fix and flips, or how did you get the real estate kind of bug? Or
well, I got the bug probably when I was like 10. Had some family that owned some duplexes. My parents owned, or they were invested in a REIT. So I've been very kind of scatterbrained in real estate. One of the things I love about real estate is there's hundreds of ways to invest, a bunch of different asset classes. And I really didn't know what my niche was. Listened to hundreds or thousands of hours of podcasts, did so much research, just really never found my niche. And when I was introduced 9 years ago, I was like, man, this is awesome. I think I want to do this, but it was kind of didn't really know where to start, I guess. It found Bigger Pockets and that kind of took me on, a bunch of different paths, just because there's, like I said, so much to do in real estate. Fast forward a few years, and when I heard about Bigger Pockets and multifamily syndication, I was in the military making not much money. Didn't really know where to start, what to do, or anything like that, and just kind of sat on it for far too long. Back probably 6 or 7 years ago, we rented out a home that we had lived in. And so that was really our first kind of, investor, real estate investment. But we didn't buy it, and that was something that was kind of eating at me. We didn't buy it strictly for investing. It was just something that we happened to own. And then we moved out and instead of selling it, we rented it out. So we have had a few, 3 single family properties, but, no fix and flip, no, nothing like that. It was being a landlord, which wasn't very fun. And then after that, we got into multifamily syndication pretty hardcore.
Mm-hmm. Oh, excellent.
Good for you. Yeah. There's a lot of people that, myself, I knew a tiny bit about investing, but it was really before I kind of went full force toward it. When I sold my house in Atlanta, I did consider, trying to hold on to it. I owned 2 houses for a year. Then I just, before I really had the mindset of a real estate investor, I sold the house. I mean, I probably should have kept it because, the Atlanta market has just exploded and house values have gone up. I mean, even obviously we're seeing a change now in today's market, but, the house prices have still gone up quite a bit. So Charlie, maybe back to your corporate days, perhaps when you were in the service, which branch were you in?
I was in the Army.
Okay, maybe back to the Army days or maybe corporate days. Can you think of something humorous that made you scratch your head and say, why am I doing this? I got to do something else.
As far as the humor, maybe it's dark humor,
That's okay.
which is not fun. I think, and I don't know. There's a lot of stories that I could talk about that are kind of, here's a sign that I need to get out of the rat race. And I think part of that could be getting a demotion at work in my corporate job several years ago, where some people just in the Army and military and government especially, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I'm of the mindset of, if it's not broke, it can still be improved. Mm-hmm. And when I come up with different ideas, it's like, nope, that's not how we do things. We've never done it that way. Like, hey, we can, make it a little better. But I think there was a lot of people that didn't want to hear that. Maybe they were threatened. Maybe they, I don't know. So there's a couple stories like that. One of those was the demotion. And at that point, I was already interested in real estate. At that point, I was like, man, I need to speed up my timeline and really need to get going on this. Cause I don't now, but I didn't want to work for someone else my whole life. Wanted to kind of have my path, that I want to do that provides for my family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talk about this frequently, that even if you have a W-2 job and you're happy in your W-2 job, good for you. But at the same point in time,
right,
don't have that be your only source of income. Unfortunately, corporations are not loyal to employees. That's been the case for a long time. And so if you prepare yourself to have another income stream, and it might be, something side hustle that winds up becoming a passion for growth, for you to wind up going into and doing it full time. But again, just we highly love the idea of multiple streams of income and recommend that people, be aware of that. Again, when you're trading time for money in a W-2 job, you're dependent upon that employer for your livelihood. So.
Yeah. And what's interesting, Richard, and you kind of hit on it. Some people love their jobs. That's great. I didn't. Right. And, I love real estate and the fact that it can also be very lucrative, I think is beneficial for me and for others that maybe didn't like their job. If you like it, congrats. That's amazing. Kind of jealous there.
Yeah. But again, you can still do something on your side to create another avenue. And again, it's good to have a safety net. Just, again, even if you love your job, doesn't mean your employer's going to love you when rocky times come and who knows,
Yep.
So, yeah.
So it sounds like, Charlie, it sounds like a large deciding factor for you to change career paths was just overall job satisfaction, correct? I mean, some of that, I sound like you probably always had some kind of entrepreneurial bent to you as well. Like you said, you're trying to improve other programs and processes at other jobs that they kind of hitting a brick wall on. So was a lot of that just, actual job satisfaction would drove you to change careers?
I think that's definitely one of the reasons. I think the biggest reason and kind of what got me started early in life is I had a best friend. His dad owned his own company. Being able to take us to practice or games or dinner or movies, not on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. He was home a lot. He would pick up my friend and sometimes me from school. And it was like, wow, how does this happen? Because I was used, like most of us, used to the kind of mindset of, do well in school, get a good degree or a good job so you can have a good retirement. And that's just not the case anymore. Mm-hmm. And I think, Bill, that kind of started me, that fire of, I want to be able to do what I want when I want. So financial freedom, but really time freedom is, I think, what kind of got me going. And then on top of that, I've liked all the jobs that I've done at various times. I don't think I've ever loved them. But I think that what has, really drove me my entire life is really just the time freedom and financial freedom.
Right. That's an excellent motivator. And we hear that a lot of people wanting to get back time, either for, to do other things they want to do in life, not be on a clock or spend time with the family. But as you said, it's just, having your own time back is huge. It's it's hard to put a price tag on that part of it.
Right.
Yeah. So Charlie, as you were kind of really moving heavily into the real estate and really focusing, and that enabled you to actually leave your W-2 world, you mentioned that you kind of learned about multifamily syndication like 9 years earlier and kind of didn't act on it right away. But when you did act on it, were there some obstacles you had to overcome?
No, it was easy. No, there's a lot.
One-page booklet.
Yeah. No. Next question, please.
That's right.
No, there was I've been doing this for a few years now, and there's still obstacles all the time. I think I'm the type of person that I really need and prefer someone to hold my hand through the process the first time or two. And then after that, I can improve processes. I'll be off and running. And I think really one of the reasons, that I had learned about multifamily syndication 9-10 years ago and didn't act on it was I didn't have that mentor. I could have joined a program or two. At the time was just, it would have cost probably almost as much as I was making in an entire year. And I think the big obstacles for me are just, one of the things I've really been working on is changing my mindset. And, a lot of people have these big failures, and I'm kind of jealous of that. I don't have a lot of big failures. That's obviously, I'm not perfect whatsoever. I just don't take the risk. And I could have been in multifamily syndication. I could have, flipped a home or two, could have done a lot of different things that I feel like I have a ton of knowledge on. I just didn't take the risk, didn't take the jump to do it. So I never learned from my mistakes. And so for me, it was just kind of this, running in quicksand, and you don't go very, very fast, very far. And for me, I, still have a lot of obstacles I'm overcoming, but I think at the time, I didn't know where to start, didn't have a mentor, didn't have a friend that was doing this. I think there's a lot of excuses. At the time they were reasons, but I look back and obviously they're not reasons, they're excuses. So I think joining a mentorship group, and I'm terrible at networking. And so that's something else that I've been focusing over the last year or so, is just how can I network with people? And to be honest, if I didn't network, I wouldn't be I'm in 5 deals. I'd probably only be in 2 deals. And yeah, so the networking has really helped us scale.
Excellent.
That's great. Yeah. Well, looking back, Charlie, as you transitioned into the real estate, what would you look back to as your first victory that kind of solidified the fact that you're on the right path and this is something that is achievable as a career?
Sadly, I'll say that it was really more of the first victory was really me figuring out what niche in real estate I wanted to do. Because for years, it was all of these different avenues. Do I want to do mobile home parks, triple net leases, single family? That to me was just, I don't know. I'm very strategic. I'm very analytical. And that analytical side of me is also paralyzed by analysis paralysis. And so I'm breaking out of working on my mindset to finally figure out, okay, just do it, right? Just take a jump, was huge for me. And to figure out what I wanted to do in multifamily syndication kind of felt like a weight was lifted. As silly as that sounds, I was just struggling. I didn't know what path I wanted to do. And I think when I figured that out, there's just this, sigh of relief of, okay, I'm not an expert, but I'm in a group with hundreds of experts. Now I know that I can start taking these teeny tiny, baby steps to start my journey of being a real estate investor and start that clock of financial freedom, time freedom, no more W-2. So it's kind of a silly answer, I think, but really just finding my niche of what I wanted to do was huge for me.
No, I couldn't agree more. Richard and I talk about all the time on the show that, we had any advice for people to be the same thing as you go to your local RIA meeting or real estate investor group. And there's always, the month speaker, whatever he's selling or she's selling, they're excited about, and it sounds interesting. If it's note buying, fix and flip, like you said, whatever strategy, mobile home parks, whatever it would be. But it's almost the shiny penny syndrome that, people just jump from one to the next, buy a course, and they never go deep enough, right? Versus they have a wide breadth of knowledge, but no actual expertise or depth. So as you said, you pick one and then you become an expert in that field, and then you can actually get traction and differentiate yourself from the other people that just have a surface knowledge of it. So I think that's a great advice.
Yeah, I actually stopped listening to podcasts for a while because I didn't know where, Bill, as you said, there's so many different avenues. I didn't know where to go. And I said, I need to stop listening to podcasts because I was like a dog when I see a field of squirrels, just, ooh, this is great. Oh, this one's great. So it was a huge weight lifted off of me, I think, when, multifamily syndication, it was a clear path, I think. And, it took me a long time to see it. But when I saw it, I was like, this is exactly what I was meant to do.
Nice.
Oh, that's great.
Well, again, go back to Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. So many of us are, it's the message that's sent to us is stay in school, get good grades, get a good job, and that's, and the school system is built to train employees, right?
Yep.
And, that's, again, fine. Nothing wrong with that. If you enjoy what you do, great. And if you, well, to your point, if you don't enjoy what you do, but you have to make a living and you don't know of any other way, well, do a W-2 and do it well and support your family kind of thing. But but the fear of making mistakes is what unfortunately is a huge limiting factor in so many of us. So many of us were the good student that just got the good grades. And again, how do you get good grades? You just made the least mistakes, which means you don't learn from making mistakes, which means you may not be open to something that we're doing, in this kind of other world. There's another world out there, an entrepreneurial world that is, it might be real estate, it might be owning a business, it might be whatever. But again, finding a different avenue is a great thing. So, speaking of, Charlie, as in your new syndication world and kind of your new real estate world, is there a humor story that you can share or something happened to you along the way?
Oh, great question. Nothing that is coming to the top of my mind. I just in general, what I would say is there's so much, I guess, bad and wrong that can go happen with things that and we talk about this with, we have a daughter who is a phenomenal gymnast, but it can be hard for her sometimes just because there's a lot of pressure, a lot of stress. And my wife and I are huge proponents of you can't think of the bad. You can't look at the bad and dwell on that. You have to find humor. You have to find something to push you, get 1% better every single day, take baby steps. And so while I don't have a funny story on something that's happened, there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong in these, what we do they're not $50,000 deals, they're $20 million, $50 million deals. And so I think just kind of, always seeing the best in things is huge and can get you through any type of bad situation.
Yep.
Well said.
Yeah. Well, Charlie, where are you today in your real estate journey?
I am probably about 1% of where I'd like to be. I'm a passive investor in 2 properties, a general partner in 3 properties, altogether about $140 million of acquisitions. I would love to be at $5 billion. That is a very lofty goal, but it's something that we can do. I wish it would happen next year, but that's not going to happen. I think one of the things I'm where we are in the interest rate market right now, sellers are still asking for 2021 prices. We've kind of been in a holding pattern, and it's been really nice to kind of focus on which I hate admin, but the admin side of the business, because I'm really seeing everything that I kind of just jumped into analyzing deals, and I never really set up the infrastructure and the backbone. So I've been the last few months been working on a lot of the educational piece on what we do. So I'm sending that out to my investors. A lot of just kind of back to basics, because I never really went to basics. I think I just jumped into underwriting. And so where I'm at is just a fraction of where I want to be. But I think I know for sure there's no way I could get to where I want to be without starting with the basics, starting with a CRM. I was using Google Sheets for a while, or Google Forms and Google Sheets, and just had them saved under an email draft at first. It's just like a bunch of stupid, idiotic, mistakes or things that I was doing to begin with. And so right now I'm starting back with the basics, but long term want to have $5 billion of assets that I've acquired.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Pretty good goal.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like those big goals. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So Charlie, as you think about yourself personally, or perhaps through your business, is there anything you do that you can talk about that you do to give back and help others in any way?
Yeah. 2 things. So number one, I love talking to people that want to get into real estate, even if it's not multifamily syndication or passive investors. Going back to 10, 15 minutes ago, I have a lot of knowledge of stuff I'm probably never going to use in, mobile home parks or flipping or things like that. And so love to talk to just people that are interested in real estate, and kind of point them in the right direction. As far as people that want to maybe not necessarily even leave their job, but want to have a better retirement, talk to them about what we do, why I'm a huge proponent of that. And then even new syndicators, love talking to them, because I think one of the very cool things about multifamily syndication is you can't take this on by yourself. You need a team. And so, the multifamily syndication, a lot of general partners have an abundance mindset. We like to help each other. We like to share knowledge, what's working, what's not working. So really just talking to new syndicators. And then more on the personal side of things, we at church, we give back. We have a handyman outreach that I'm a part of, which is kind of cool. It's not, sometimes it's just cutting brush or bushes or things like that. Sometimes it's a little more, cleaning gutters or renovating different things. But so that's kind of how we like to give back.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, Charlie, what's something you've recently implemented in your business that's allowed you to scale?
I would say that 2 things. Number one is networking. I kind of touched on that earlier. I'm terrible at networking, and I know that, and I'm trying to get better, trying to be comfortable with being extremely uncomfortable. I think networking has allowed, you've heard the phrase, your network is your net, or your net worth is your network. Mm-hmm. And I heard that a lot. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. But it is true. Without mentors, without other people, experts that have been doing this, most people will not be successful. Some will, but most people will not be successful. So I think networking is something huge that I've been working on. And then the other thing is really just from the admin side of things, getting on a legitimate CRM, working with email marketing, and I've written, our website has about 35 articles that we've written over the last few months. And it takes it from why I'm interested in real estate to why multifamily, what's multifamily syndication, what do we look for, and what are investor returns. Kind of takes it on that, I'll call it a customer journey or an investor journey. And so while that hasn't necessarily allowed us to scale right now, I think it will, because I've created all those the articles, and then a email, kind of like a drip campaign. And so anytime I get someone, a new investor, literally takes me five to 10 seconds to add them to it. And I've purposely not put any dates on the articles, and not even markets, like what markets we're interested in, because over time markets will change too. But ideally, that is, that hundreds of hours that I did working on that will last me maybe not forever, but for a long time before we have to make any adjustments to that. So that will help us scale.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Right. Evergreen material. We talk about it all the time. It's, it's great to have that. Like I said, you're smart enough putting the date, or, well, that didn't apply to me. I'm not in Austin or wherever it happens to be, but it's, very, I'm sure, general. But back to your point earlier, you mentioned, Charlie, we talk about a lot too, is the, your network and net worth equation there. If we're just there, I forget who the other one was that said, that take your 5 closest friends that, could be your net worth as well. I think that's so important. I think it trains your mind to see opportunities, right? Because you're much more likely to discuss opportunities with people, that are doing the same thing you are. And it's more of a collective, I guess, as you're thinking about that stuff that, the reticular activating system they talk about all the time. When you buy the red pickup, all of a sudden you see all the red pickups. Well, they're always there. You just didn't notice them before because it filtered out your mind. It wasn't important to your mind. But the same thing with opportunity. I think you're constantly talking about deals and how to structure things. I think you see more opportunities out there as you go forward.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And it is funny because I remember my wife bought a SUV we had really never heard of, and then we're like, wow, they're everywhere now. But yeah, I definitely agree, Bill. And I think that, years ago, not having a lot of money, it wasn't, to me, that was, well, I don't have money, so I can't do this. And instead of trying to, learn more about multifamily syndication, and I've been underwriting for several years. The first few years were pretty terrible looking back on it, but at least I was kind of diving into it. But now being able to, even just driving around town, like, oh, hey, there's an apartment that looks like would be a good opportunity for us. I think, we need to always be looking for opportunities, and, going back to my mindset, always working on my mindset, trying to find opportunities both with passive investors, general partners is big, but then also on the real estate side of things, driving for dollars, as we've heard.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Very good. So Charlie, what advice would you share with somebody who's considering making a path change?
I love this question. I think a lot of people are scared about the finances. If you don't like your job and you want to get into real estate, you want to have a SaaS company, whatever it is, you don't like your job, you want to change. People are always focusing on the financial side of things. And I think I did too. I'm not going to say that's stupid. But we took a huge pay hit, my family not having a guaranteed paycheck. I'm not looking at it at how are we paying our bills next month? How are we paying our bills in 6 months? I'm looking at it as how are we going to be able to achieve what we want to achieve? I've been to 49 states. I've not been to Alaska. Love to go to Alaska. And my dream is we have a camper, take our camper to every single state except Hawaii. And I think that'd be difficult. That'd be a long drive. But I think getting out of that mindset of how can I afford it? or how can, I can't afford it, to we're going to make this work. And, there's other ways to make money too. You don't have to have a W-2, which may be news to some people. It's kind of news to me, but, you could do part-time jobs. Or from what I've been doing is, okay, we have enough money to make this work for a few years, right? I don't want to live off retirement, don't want to live off savings, don't want to, burn the bridges. I need to find a way to make money, and I need to force myself to be proactive instead of, sit in a W-2 that I didn't love. And so I think going back to, what advice, it doesn't just have to be financial. Think about the time that you would get back and how you can really focus on your business.
Nice. Yeah. Well, Charlie, what's the best way for our listeners to reach you and learn more about what you're up to?
Yeah, I am on LinkedIn. I am on Facebook. I'm not super active, but I do respond. And then our website is hkigllc.com. And you can go check out our articles. Please feel free to reach out. My contact information is on there as well. Feel free to reach out, and love to have a conversation.
Excellent. And we'll add those below in the show notes. Well, Charlie, we really want to thank you again for being on the Road Less Traveled show. Really enjoyed the conversation, and we want to wish you continued success.
Thanks, guys. Pleasure.
Yes, Charlie, thank you for being on. We'd also like to thank our listeners. Please continue to give us a 5-star rating so we can bring you more great content like our show today with Charlie Hardage. And we'd also like to remind everybody about two things Park Capital Partners has going. First, we have the Park Capital Partners Value-Added Fund, which is a 506c fund open to accredited investors. And secondly, we have the Park Capital Partners Foundation, which is a 501c3 nonprofit that we created as a way for us to give back. The way that works briefly is that first, Park Capital Partners funds the operations of that foundation so that all the money donated goes to do its best work, which is to help others. Second, we donate personally. Third, corporately. And then finally, when investors invest with us, we make a donation to honor that investor to a charity of their choice from a list of 15 pre-selected charities. So please reach out to say hello to Bill and I. We're happy to have a conversation anytime. ParkCapitalPartnersLLC.com. And remember, folks, the road less traveled may be calling you. We recommend that you listen and take action. Thanks for joining.